Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where it was on this week in 1967 that little Stevie Winwood became Steve Winwood, graduated from the very cool and underrated Spencer Davis Group, and announced he was going to form one of the best bands of all time. He didn't say it that way. He's a humble guy, so I'll say it for him because Traffic are simply one of the best bands of all time. They defy era. They defy culture, they defy stereotypes. They created something new and yet something instantly recognizable. They were both jammy and improvisational, but also great songwriters. They could carry a great tune and they could just let the psychedelic jamming go where it wants to go. They could do anything. And while the first lineup didn't last long, 3 out of 4 of them did. So the original lineup on the first two albums was Jim Capaldi on drums, vocals, and occasional songwriting and lyrics. Jim Capaldi is one of my favorite musicians of all time. Steve Winwood would be the first to tell you that he was the glue that held the band together. Then there was Steve on organ, piano, guitar, and vocals. The criminally underrated Chris Wood on flute, saxophone, vocals, and a bit of percussion. And then on guitar and vocals, Dave Mason, who was always sort of the odd man out. He came from more of a folky background. The others were getting deeper and deeper into jam rock or jam bandery, jazz fusion, and all sorts of other things, which is why the band broke up, only to come back at the beginning of the 70s. And for me, that's where Traffic really became wonderful. The jams got heavier, the jazzy influence got more overpowering, but in a good way. It was all encompassing. The songwriting got even better, and the playing of everyone just went from strength to strength. The comeback album of this lineup was 1970's John Barleycorn Must Die. This was followed up by an instant classic. Vinyl collectors everywhere have it because of the unique sort of oblong, unusual shaped jacket, but the music on any format is wonderful. And this was The Low Spark of High Heeled Boys, followed by what was kind of a sequel album, Shootout at the Fantasy Factory, and their final album from this classic lineup, if you will, that is so criminally underlooked and underrated is 1970s for When the Eagle Flies. I would kind of start backwards if I were recommending where to go with Traffic. Start at the end with When the Eagle Flies and work your way back to the beginning. The band it's one of those bands that, at least in my case, it makes me feel good. Their music got me through some bad times, and it's always there to make the good times better. And Steve Winwood was taking a big risk by forming this band with the sort of older and wiser Jim Capaldi. It was really something that was a risk. He could have become sort of a showpiece solo artist, but instead he formed a band that really functioned as a singular unit. And I think that showed that he had a lot of musical integrity. And Traffic were one of those bands with a lot of both integrity and talent. So that's my assessment on Traffic. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.